This drug spares no one, race, income level. It's going to impact taxes, it's going to impact public safety, and it's your neighbors. I don't care what neighborhood you're in, there are people who are addicted to this drug because of the deluge of pills that were, fed to our society based on a lie that they weren't addicted when they were, for greed, for profit. We give a lot of lip service to addiction as a disease, but until you really empathize with the person going through it and what they're feeling and how they're driven by this fear of dope sickness, I don't think you can really wrap your hand around it until you empathize. And that's what I'm hoping this book leads people to do. Too often in the book and in America, we don't see a person as worthy of sympathy for this disease they had, as a patient worthy of treatment, until we're sitting in the funeral.
Broadly speaking, what did your research for Dopesick entail?
Just talking to everybody affected by it, and family members, police, ATF agents, drug dealers, users themselves, judges, law enforcement, doctors, social workers, and just trying to figure out how to tell the story, like honing in on the stories that I thought represented how we got here the best and how we're going to get out the best. So finding really good examples that illustrate that. Well, I started writing about it in 2012, so I'd probably done, call it 40 interviews for that 3-part series I did then. And then I went back and I don't know, at least a couple of hundred. Some people I interviewed. I mean, Tessa's mom, I probably interviewed her 50 times, just her. And the data says about 50% of all opioid painkillers prescribed after surgery, they prescribe too much, like 50% more than you actually need. So that's all out there in our medicine cabinets, our communal medicine cabinets. That's why when you have events like this where people are handing out these disposal bags, we've got to get these drugs out of our medicine cabinets because our children get into them, our grandchildren. And we really need to go back to the time where we knew that all painkillers were addicted. There's a great book called Hope After Heroin by Tracy Helton Mitchell, I think is really good. Of course, Dreamland by Sam Quinones is a great book. Barry Meyer's Painkiller does a good job of describing the early years of OxyContin and all the regulatory failures. There's a book called What You Are Getting Wrong about Appalachia, written by Elizabeth Catt, which was sort of written as a polemic against hillbilly elegy. And it's a great history of Appalachia that I think doesn't talk about the drug epidemic at all, but I think it's a great primer. There's a novelist out of Kentucky named Robert Gipe who's written 2 brilliant, beautiful illustrated novels. One is called Trampoline, and then the sequel is called Weed Eater, and he's working on the 3rd in the trilogy now that will just break your heart. And they're all set against a backdrop of the opioid crisis. And lastly, if you're into sort of the statistical weeds of overprescribing and you want to see all the latest data all in one place, I recommend Anna Lemke, Lembke's Drug Dealer MD.